AITA for telling my roommate she can't have her boyfriend over even if he's dying. AITA for outing my 23F and my roommate Tia, 27F, are both currently law students, and this situation has me really messed up. Last year when I first got to school I was really lonely. A few months in I made friends with a group of people, and in particular me and this one guy Rob, 29M, became good friends. A few months of me and this group hanging out happened, and I noticed Tia didn't really have many friends around her, so I started inviting her and including her in more of our plans, and everyone seemed happy. Then Tia and Rob ended up getting together a few weeks into her joining the group, and I was upset because it felt like Tia was vulnerable and Rob took advantage of that. But they're adults and they wanted to be together, okay, whatever, not my problem. The issues started to arise when it turned out I was the only one that knew about their relationship and had to listen to all their problems. Important to note, I am not religious, but Tia is a practicing Catholic and Rob is an atheist that's angry with God. So this caused them a lot of relationship issues, and they would break up every other day, sometimes multiple times a day for months. Not an exaggeration. At the same time I had started dating a guy that worked in the next door office building, and while both of them seemed supportive and tried to include him when we went out. Then Rob interrogated my very new boyfriend in the middle of a work meeting with his boss about Tia, who had come over for a drink the night before. My boyfriend blew up on me and I called Rob and screamed at him, which basically ended my friendship with Rob. Rob then went around to the entire group of friends and effectively made sure I was no longer welcome in their group. Tia and Rob were on the rocks for a while after that and seemed to call it quits for good at some point last year. Tia and I moved in together, and I asked for one really hard boundary, and it's that Rob not be allowed in our apartment. She agreed before we moved in together and multiple times after. This year I noticed that her and Rob are seeing each other again. That she hangs out with the group of people that took his side without ever talking to me. But her and Rob are on the same BS as last year with the fights and making up. Now recently Rob got diagnosed with a really bad heart condition and needs a transplant. He's on the list, but he may not have much time and he wants to spend what he has with Tia. I don't want to know any more about their relationship, but I've noticed he has been trying to spend more time alone with her, so she's invited him over on days I wasn't around and basically omitted or lied to me about it. Until I found him sneaking out one night when getting a cup of water. My room is right next to the front door and kitchen. Tia and I had a talk and we again agreed that he wouldn't be allowed into our home. But she approached me a few days ago and asked that he be allowed into our apartment again since he may not have long to live. I respectfully said no, I don't care what the situation is. We argued and she said that she paid half the rent and wanted him here and it's her right. I said fine, she can do what she likes, but not to expect us to live together again next year. She's been saying I'm financially manipulating her and holding her money status over her head. I simply say I'm holding my peace as a higher priority than her relationship, and if she was really my friend she'd do the same regardless of his timeline. Rob and his group of friends are calling me an asshole. I feel like I'm an asshole. And I feel like I'm being petty. I don't really care if she brings any other man into the house, in fact she has, at the same time as her and Rob have been on again, but I don't care if he's sick and it's his last hour on earth. I don't want him in the space I find comfort in. So Reddit AITA. Edit to add, it's not just that Rob and I got into one fight and we're no longer friends. Rob went out of his way to try and ruin my relationships with everyone at school. He went to the deans and filled an interpersonal complaint about me, and when that didn't work he called my parents and tried to get me in trouble by telling them about a few parties I went to. They don't believe in recreational drugs/drinking. And at my previous apartment Rob had been allowed in a total of 3 times, all for less than 10 minutes. He would do all of these things and then go to Tia and tell her how much he missed having me as a friend. It got really out of control last year and I ended up having to take a leave of absence for a semester after having a breakdown in case, all things Tia knows. Edit number 2. On advice from some of the comments I'm going to include this. Last year after I had already apologized to Rob for yelling at him and I assumed the situation was settled, I was thrown into a tribunal because Rob had reported me for cheating. He denies it even after he was called as a witness, but couldn't say anything 'cause I've never cheated. I had to retake 2 finals in front of proctors and professors to ensure I actually knew the material. At that point everyone in our class thought I was a cheater and no one would talk to me. It got bad one day in case when no one would work with me and 2 girls made a comment that they couldn't risk the extra scrutiny having a cheater would bring them. It had been almost 2 months of harassment at that point and I broke down, left and now have to repeat the semester. He has never apologized.